Hello, welcome back. We are now at about day 14 or 16. I don't really remember. I had a fibro flare, so I lost track of time a little bit. But we are ready to rack our wine. That basically means you're going to you have most of the fermentation done, and you're going to be getting it off of all the dead stuff that's settled at the bottom, so that it can continue to ferment a little bit longer, but it's going to be cleaner. You're getting rid of the gunk. So first thing you do is you wash out your containers that you're going to be putting your new wine into, and you use your star sand again. Now I've already got it all set up with my piping to do this. Make sure when you do it, you actually remove your bubbler. Alright, so remove the bubbler. You're gonna want to get these sanitized. So just go ahead and put them where they can dump out, and you can sanitize them. And then after you hook up your tubing or whatever means that you decide to do, which the way I do it is I use tubing like this, and I just connect it down to the bottom where my spigots are, and I run them into this container. We're going to be putting roughly half of each of them into one container so that it mixes. So this way you actually have your mix. Make sure you got it in, because you don't want them to fall out when as they're doing it, and then you just let it go. You just let it go. But you do need to make sure okay, one of these is not working right. We gotta figure out what's wrong. I know what's wrong. For some reason it doesn't want to go down. It's not going up. It's not going up enough. Which might mean I need to raise it. One of them's working fine. My long one does not want to work. My longer tube doesn't want to work. Probably it's too long. But I don't want to cut this tube because I do use this tubing for something else. So we're just going to put this tubing off to the side, and we're going to do half of this container, and then we'll do half of that container by switching it over. So it's going to take a little while, so I'm not going to sit here and just talk. I'm just going to pause, and I'll come back when we're done with it. Now it will take two of the same size containers to do this. So you can either just have one extra container, and then when you get done, you can basically just transfer the one into the other pot, and then wash out that other container, and then transfer it all into the new one, which adds a whole lot of extra work. But if you're short on the cash to get the extra container, yes, you can you can do it that way. Although I would recommend having two extras of the whatever size container, whatever containers you're using. So for it. Now the fermentation will continue after we get it done this time around, because fermentation typically, while most of it is done within the first 14 days, it can actually take up to a whole month for it to get fully done. So I'm going to put it on pause, and we'll come back. Okay, so we've transferred the wine into the two buckets, and while we were doing that, we brought up, when we got halfway through, when we got one of the buckets done, we brought up the muslin bags that held the fruits, the frozen fruit, and the wood chips. We brought them up so they could drain a little bit and get rid of any juices that are actually still in there, because those juices are still good, but we still don't want to get that gunk in there, and plus it'll tie up the the end down there. So, once we get that done, and you got it all done, and you're drained out, you just gotta take everything, and you do have to make sure you wash everything really well when you're done, because you don't want to get fruit flies again. And then you empty your muslin bag into the trash, because these muslin bags are reusable, although you can get ones that are not reusable. So, we're done there. And you want to wash it out, although I'll be washing it out off camera after I show you the last parts. Plus we got the gallon jug that we had. We mixed it in already. So you let the muslin bag drain a little bit before you want to mess with it, because otherwise you're just going to get otherwise you're going to make a mess all over. You might need a little extra height. If you do, a milk crate or a couple a box that has some support to it, a stool, whatever you need, just use on top, place it, and then place your, because you might need a little extra height. And now to level these out, we will need to take some from the one that's more full and add it to that. So if you want, although you can do away, you just want to get rid of some of the excess headspace. But before we do that, we're going to check our hydrometer to see how much more fermentation is possible. Now this could be fully fermented or not. Now I've already sanitized the container, and because we mix both of them, they will have the same, because these mixed together now, they'll have the same alcohol, so we don't need to test both. So you just pop it in, and basically what you're looking for is a reading of 1.0. And it looks like we're very close to that 1.0. We're just slightly below that. So it does still have a little bit more fermentation to go. So I'm going to pause this because I need to actually transfer some of this. Well, actually I'm not. I'm going to finish it off, and I'll do that off camera. Because they are uneven, as you can see, one still has about another half gallon they can add, while the other one's almost full. You can either add more juice to top it off, more water, although I would recommend the juice rather than the water, just for the simple fact that it'll add more flavor. Won't dilute the flavor. Or you can just transfer, when it's like this, you can just basically transfer some over, because you can have, at this stage, you can still have some headspace. By the end stage, by the time we actually get done with this stage, where this particular rack is done, you don't want very much headspace left. But by the time we get to that, we'll actually be only having one of these, and we'll be probably going to a 3-gallon container. So, I'm going to end the video here, and good luck on your adventures in winemaking. And thank you for watching my channel. Wouldn't mind a like, don't care if you subscribe, but thanks. Bye. Add-on, I realized after I finished the Big Mac goodbyes and everything, that I didn't tell you what to do with the bubblers, because you do need to put the bubblers back on. You add your you add your little tiny bit of the star sand and water, and you just put them back on. Make sure they're all nice and tight. Now I've already transferred some, and I added 1 extra container of juice with a tiny bit of water added as well, but only a little bit, just so I was adding it basically equal amounts to both, to basically bring it up to a nice mark where you still have a fair amount of headspace, but it's not as much, because the amount of headspace does make a difference at this particular stage. You want enough that you're not going to have it explode on you, obviously, but you also don't want but you obviously don't want so much that it's going to be getting oxidized. So now that's it. Like I said, bye. It's still recording, watching me clean. Didn't mean to do that. Welcome back. We are at another racking day. Basically just about a week after the last racking, which was the first racking that we did in order to get it off the first set of fermentation. We've gone through another 7 days, so it is fully fermented now. I already took the hydro reading, and the hydro reading was at 0.998, which basically once it gets below the 1.01, you're usually pretty good. So we're now going to rack it into two new containers. And again, of course, my dehumidifier decides to go off now. But we're going to rack it into two different containers, mixing the two mixes together so that they're evenly mixed. I've already cleaned and sanitized the items. So now we're just going to rack it. Make sure you got your tubing in right, and just let it go until it gets about half full, and then switch over to the other container. Because it does get a little boring just watching me do this, I am going to put this on pause and wait until it gets back to the next set where we switch over, and I will see you in a little bit. Thank you. Okay, so we finished draining both of them, and we just finished doing both. So after you finish doing both, again, you want to always try to make sure that you're keeping everything as clean as possible. Although, you know, in ancient times they didn't really do that, and you know, they still made wine. You just want to make sure things are relatively clean and hygienic. But just so you can see, we got almost all the wine out. There's still going to be a little bit left, but if you look, you got a lot of gunk at the bottom. You don't want to get that gunk into your fresh rack. So when you start to tip, in order to get the last bit of wine, tip it very, very slow, and don't tip it fully. You are going to end up having, chances are, at least, most likely, about a half a glass to a full glass, maybe even a little bit more, depending on how bad and cloudy it is, of liquid left in your container. But again, that's actually something that in ancient times they used to call it the gift to the gods. So we finished that part. Now the hard part, lifting the containers and putting them back up on my shelf, because they're heavy. Okay, so these have been cleaned and washed and sanitized. Just want to verify that when you put this back on, that it doesn't sink all the way to the bottom again. Because if it sinks all the way to the bottom again, that means you don't have a proper tight seal. All right, they're good. I already verified that one. Now you can either leave it like this if you plan on not making it up not bottling it up within the next month. But if you're going to bottle it up in the next month, which is what my intentions are, because I want to be able to do some of it at least into wine for the holiday, for Thanksgiving. So in that case, what you want to do is you want to add some stabilizing agent, potassium sobite, and I'm just going to read you the instructions once I find them. Oh, this didn't have the instructions. But, okay, this doesn't actually have the instructions, But it's basically, roughly, one big tablespoon, like this, to 2 tablespoons for your full 6 to 8 gallon container. 5 to 6 gallons, you basically add roughly 1 to 2 tablespoons. And you just need to add it in there. That's going to stabilize it. So it kills off any of the yeast that's still alive. Because you really don't want it doing anything more. Okay? So you add that. And that's potassium sulfite that you're adding. Now, if you decide to let it, if you're taking months to make this wine, where say 6 months or more, you probably won't even need to add this throughout any of the stages. But if you're making it in less than a 3-month period, you're going to want to add this just to verify that everything's done. Alright, so that's that. And just give it a light shake so that the sulfite kind of starts going all over the bottom. You're going to see some bubbles start to form when you do that, because the sulfite is going to be interacting with what gas is already in there, which is CO2. And then you put your top back on, you bubble it again, sanitized with Star San solution, and the Star San solution's tiny bit, and water, which I've already done for both of these. And just a slight shake, nothing too much, just enough to get that sulfite that's in there to intermix. You're not gonna, it's not like what you're doing with the sugar or anything. Then you just make sure your bubblers are good. You're going to see some bubbles again. That's because you're getting rid of the carbon dioxide, the CO2. Then you put your t-shirts or whatever you're using to cover if you are doing any of that. And the reason why you do this is because you don't really want a lot of light getting into it, because the light will actually affect it. But that's that, and I hope I helped. And next time we'll be in another seven days or so where we'll be adding the clarifying agents and degassing. So you all have a nice day, and like and subscribe if you want. Leave a comment, whatever. Thank you.